Our next guest is, again, one of the most successful story. We had a wine bow. It started like a garage winery, I believe, and it became one of the most award-winning winery we had in our 40 years history. Talk about the winery, the owner himself, my good friend Stefano Frascolla, live from Tua Rita. Stefano, we're all yours.
Hi, Giovanni. Thank you to everyone to stay with us to be bored by me. And I hope all okay for you.
We hear you, we see you.
Yes, for your families and for all. I introduce shortly my winery. My winery is Tua Rita. Tua Rita was a winery created by my family in the '84. Really, at the beginning was only like an hobby for to spend some weekend in the country for my father and mother-in-law and for me and my wife. Only in '96 we decided to change this hobby in main work, and step by step now me and my family, my wife Simena and my son Giovanni, we run this small winery located on the coast of Tuscany. Now the total vineyard surface is around 51 hectares of vineyards, and we are now producing around 350,000 bottles. The area is very particular. I try to show you a small map. This is the position of Tua Rita. Here we are in Tuscany, in the middle of the coast. Suvereto is located around 10 kilometers from the sea, and Giovanni, scusami, se parlo poco chiaro, tu interrompimi e ripeti, perché sai che il mio inglese è pessimo.
No, your English is fantastic. You look like a pilot here. You look like you're piloting an airplane.
Sorry,
you know, with the
my
chair
technology
and
is not
no,
so...
it's really good. Stefano, you're doing fantastic. The audio is good, the video is good. It's beautiful. Now, since we have it, I would love to, since you interrupt yourself, if you can talk about the tempi eroici of the starting, because we all know who you are now. We all know the points, the wines, the words, but not a lot of people know what happened in the early '80s when your family started the winery.
Oh yes.
Why in Suvereto? Why talk
Suvereto
about
was totally a case. We chose this most place because at the first look we love this small parcel of land in the coast of Tuscany, and we found in the winery an half hectare of vineyards. And we began, as I said, to make the wine for home, not like a professional winemaker. Only in '88 we planted the first vineyards, and we planted the Merlot because one of the favorite wine of my family was the Castello di Ama a Parita, that you know probably, and the Cabernet Sauvignon. And the Cabernet Sauvignon, because we are very close to the very famous Sassicaia winery. For this reason, we planted two completely unusual varieties for this area. And the first vinification was immediately very interesting, and I can resume in 2-3 more important step the beginning of our history. First one was a big testing that happened in the during the Vinitaly 95, and was the first time that in Italy was a competition between coastal Tuscan wines and Bordeaux wines. The coastal Tuscan wine was included the Sassicaia, the Ornellaia, the Paleo, the Giusto di Notri of Tua Rita, and if I remember well, the Grattamac or other wineries. And the Bordeaux wines was very important wineries like Côte de Tournelle, l'Église Clinée. This competition was very interesting, especially for the tester, including Jensins Robinson, including Daniele Cernilli, including Nicolas Belfrage, and had a very important master of wine. And was very important because the first two wines in this competition was two wines of new wineries located on the coast of Tuscany with a very young enologist, the same. Giusto di Notri and Paleo. And this was a very important result. At those time, it wasn't so usually to make this kind of comparative testing, and the result was very important. And this was the first step. The second one, very important, was when Giorgio Pinchiori decided to choose our wines Redigaffi and asked us for an exclusive representation in the world of this wine for the first year of this wine, 94. But we refused this proposal, and we decided only to allocate 1 barrels to Giorgio Pinchiori. Giorgio Pinchiori was the first promoter of in international restaurant that owned
Tua Rita.
Yes, with his name, was the first very important Italian restaurant opening in Japan, in USA, very important sistership restaurant. And the third step, very important for us, was in 2000 when, with the 2000 vintage, when Robert Parker got us 100 points. In the past, it was only another winery having 100 points from Robert Parker, was the Sassicaia with 85, but not directly on the first testing, during a retesting after some years. And for us was an incredible, an incredible successful, but honestly, I remember perfectly the phone call that Leonardo Locascio made 2-3 days before Christmas 2002 to communicate to us this score. And honestly, we don't value so important this result. Only in the future we began to understand the heavy of this result. I repeat, this is a winery created step by step in a very particular terroir. Particular terroir, especially influenced by the sea. We are very influenced by we are very close to the sea, and our climate is influenced by the wind blowing from the sea to the land during the afternoon, during the summer, and the opposite during the first morning. A lot of very particular choice that we made Tua Rita a little bit different of a lot of other wineries that was in Tuscany, are in Tuscany. For example, we was one of the first wineries to plant the vineyards with high density. We was the first winery having an Enjambert French tractor to work the land, and a lot of different choice. Now, as I said, we are producing around 350,000 bottles, and our range of wine, the focus of our range of wine is the international varieties. But the philosophy in the wineries is especially when the vineyards are our richness. The respect of the nature of the vineyards of our property is absolute, and we look for in the wine two main quality: elegance and drinkability. This is our goal. The goal in the goal that we try to follow in and to look for in the vineyards and in the cellar.
Stefano, can you you gave us a chronological view. Can you tell us what was your first wine in the lineup? What did you start with, and then when the other wines came into the line?
The first wine, it was the Giusto Inotri. Giusto Inotri, the first bottling was in '92, and at the beginning was 50% Cabernet Sauvignon and 50% Merlot. Only in 2000, only in '94, 2 years later, we pick two barrels of the Merlot, and we create the Redigaffi. But the first wine was Giusto Inotri, and really Giusto Inotri is the wine that is in my heart and in my mind, like the flag wine of Tua Rita.
You want to talk about the name for the new people that never heard?
Okay, the name are all connected to the land, to the soil, because Giusto Inotri, San Giusto is the saint of the small the small country town of Suvereto, and Notri is our area. Our small property is called Notri. Redigaffi is the name of a small creek very close to the property, and very clean and pure water. Very famous in the past for the children of Suvereto, because they fish the river streams in this small creek. It's very small, but it's very particular. And Perlato del Bosco is the name of the marbles that we pick on the quarry immediately upper our property. Upper the Tua Rita property, there are 2 quarries of marble, and most famous is Perlato del Bosco. Perlato del Bosco altogether is a very particular kind of pink marbles.
So Perlato basically introduced to Tua Rita the most famous grape in Tuscany, which is Sangiovese. So
sure. Perlato del Bosco is 100% Sangiovese. We began to make with this wine because we found the Sangiovese in the winery, and Perlato del Bosco is at the beginning. Sangiovese is very difficult to cultivate in our area because Suvereto is probably the most dry and warm area in the coast of Tuscany. We are very influenced by the sea. The soil is very particular, is very poor and very rich of red stone, and very rich of clay also, and the climate is very hot. Sangiovese is normally a variety needing
altitude.
Yes, altitude, not too much hot, and a little bit more rain during the summer. For this reason, we at the beginning we used the whole vineyards, but in 2001. We planted a new vineyards of Sangiovese with a particular clone of these varieties. The clone is the R19, especially selected by Vigneti di Rauscedo to resist to the warm and dry climate like the mine. Since the 2011, this wine is made only with these vineyards. It's a vineyards of 5 hectares and a half, immediately after the place where I stay now, and is a Sangiovese with a different characteristic of the other. The new vintage that we release on the market is now you have the 2017, but next year will be the 2018. 2018 was a very, very important vintage for us. We have 15, 16, very good vintage, exceptional. 17, difficult, but was a big challenge for us because it was very hot. But we have the habit to work with the hot vintage. In 17, the wine that you have on the market now, we look for to maintain the acidity in the vineyards and to maintain the elegance in the cellar, and this was our work. 18 was a more fresh and balanced summer. Was very interesting because it was a very good rain that around 20 of August, and the harvest was later than the normal. 1 week later. The harvest start with the Merlot the 5 of September and finish with the Cabernet Sauvignon the 20 of October. Finally, we have a vintage with a lot of elegance, a lot of balance, and a very good vintage also for the Sangiovese. And first time this Sangiovese was aged completely, not in barrel, in barrique like in the past, but in big barrels of 20 hectoliter. This to get not too much wood to this wine.
We love that size. 20-25 hectoliters. Neutral wood is something that
is
is
not so neutral because it is our very particular wood. Is a very famous and producer in France is Gautier, and very particular kind of wood. But the result is elegance. And a very fine wine. Consider that the Sangiovese of the coast is normally more sweet, more ready immediately, and more strong, like body of the Sangiovese that you normally find in the Chianti Classic or Brunello area, for example.
Thank you, Stefano. So in the spirit of Vinitaly, basically this is a visit to your booth. So yes. To your stand. So we would like to hear, you gave us a good thing about 2018, but all the other wines that you're going to release this year, we would like to hear from you. Yes. If you like the vintage, flavor profile, as much as we can do for us to taste that wine in our palate.
Yes, I want to show my complete line. Complete range of wine, and I must begin. I began with Sangiovese, but normally I began to introduce the Rosso Enotti. Rosso Enotti is our very, very important wine. Is very important for some reason. The first is you can testing this wine. You can understand the potential quality of 1 year before. You can understand the potential quality of the main wines of Tua Rita. For example, this year we show to the on the market 2019. 2019, I can say, was very similar to the 18, like climate, like summer. But honestly, I can say 2019 was an incredible vintage, not only for the quality of the wine, because it's very high, but also for the quantity of production of all the vineyards, not only the selection but also the entry-level wine, produce a lot of perfect, very wellness, very pure bunches with a big results. Obviously, this wine, the Rosso Enotri 19, show this kind of quality, and especially because this wine is the result, for the main part, is the result of all the pre-selection that we made in the vineyards.
Thank you, sir.
And pre-selection is a very particular operation that we made in the vineyards. Pre-selection is the before the main harvest, 1 week, 10 days before the main harvest, we select the bunches on the plant, and we leave on the plant only the top of the top. The result of this selection go into the Rosso Enotri. Rosso Enotri is a wine made with around 30% Sangiovese, 30% Cabernet Sauvignon, 20 Merlot, and 20 Syrah. But there is also have other small percentage of Cabernet Franc, but especially this is the blend, and is made for the 80% in steel and 20% in small wood, tonneau, 500 liters or barrique, and is very important because this wine is the business card of Tua Rita. The people approach Tua Rita drinking the Rosso Enotri. This is a perfect wine to be served by the glass. It's a wine approachable like test, because also the vinification is normally very short, because we have naturally a good concentration in these bunches composing this wine, but we look for only the nose, the open nose, the flavor, and also it's very important for us because the young people can drink this wine. Is approachable also like price. Is a perfect wine to be served by the glass, for example, and now is the wine